Namaskar everyone. Am I audible? Uh, Good morning, everybody. My name is Madhukar. The introduction has already been given. The topic given to me is water management systems and how do we plan our water resources into the urban areas. So I'll just begin with the presentation. As I said, my name is Madhukar Swayambhu. I'm the co-founder and the research head for Vedic Sujan, which is a climate tech startup. And all our work has been about. Is it okay? Yeah. All our work has been about restoration of the health of soil, water, and air. Wherever we've seen, we are trying to kind of create water abundance. Government of India has got a lot of focus on water resources, but if you actually look at it, the kind of money being pumped into water and conservation and restoration. We have this Expo, which is DDA Green Expo, and the focus is towards regreening, uh, reforestation, afforestation. But let's delve a bit deeper into the Expo again. We have this as a logo, right? And in this logo, you can see there is blue, there is green, and there is yellow. If you actually look at the chromatology, blue plus yellow makes it green, which means the blue infrastructure that we have on the planet, you add a little sunlight to it, and what you get is a blue green planet. So, to make it green, you have to focus on blue. And focus on blue essentially means you need to understand the water and the water infrastructure that you have. Unfortunately, we have not been understanding water. We've just been using water because that is a natural instinct. Any living body has to have water, whether it is thirst, whether it is irrigation, whether it is drinking of the animals, or whether it is living of the aquatic organisms. So let us first understand what is the natural water management. So we all know water is life. Any of the extraterrestrial search that we are doing, we're just trying to first find out whether there is water or not, just to understand whether life is possible or not. So we all relate to it that water is life. Jal hai to kal hai kind of slogans are there in Bharat for almost now 50, 60 years. But do we know that water is also a cause of death? There have been so many deaths across the globe just because the water intake is not right. So, water does cause death as well. Now, the basic thing which everyone should understand that water is not dirty into the water bodies, whether it is Yamuna ji, we are there in the floodplain of Yamuna itself. We are trying to clean it. Uh, Water bodies are not dirty that we are trying to clean them. Water bodies are sick. We need to heal them. Because a sick water body will only spread sickness all around. And nobody wants to be sick. Whereas a healthy water body will only spread health all around. So if you look at the most of the post-monsoon problems, we have water and vector-borne diseases. The outbreak happens on a yearly basis post-monsoon because there is water logging. Every time the government comes out with promo campaign that घर के आसपास कहीं पानी ना जमने दें, right? What about the water logging that is happening next to the water body? Now, if you actually look at it, it will appear to be very illogical because the water body has to be in the depth. So the natural gravitational pull will attract all the water, but still we have water logging, still we have flooding. That means there is something wrong somewhere. We have not understood our infrastructure well. So there is a natural process of contamination and decontamination of water, which happens irrespective of whether there is human life on the planet or not. We are not just the only polluters. There are natural processes like, just hypothetically speaking, you remove all the human beings from the face of the planet. Will the water bodies not get contaminated? Think about a scenario, just imagine that if there is a volcanic eruption, all sorts of heavy metals and minerals will come out in fumes, and these fumes will settle down onto the top surface of the water body. So heavy metals and minerals will come. That is exactly what happens with our industrial effluent being discharged into the water body. If there is a earthquake, aquatic organisms will come to know about it first. They'll get scared, they'll excrete too much. Their excreta is all ammonia. Too much of ammonia will lead to eutrophication. If let's say there is a hailstorm or thunderstorm, all the leaves, all the vegetation on the embankment of the water body will shed their leaves, flowers, seeds. Everything will fall into the water body. Everything has got different levels of phosphate. All this phosphate will add into the water body. Too much of phosphate will lead to eutrophication. So, ये सारा process, irrespective of whether we are there or not, addition of nitrate, phosphate, sulfate, heavy metals and minerals will happen naturally into the water bodies. So, what is the natural reaction? Nature will create weeds. Weeds will come, they will consume the nutrient overload. And once they have consumed the nutrient overload, their feed will finish. Once their feed is finished, they will sink into the water body and they will again be decomposed like any other biological waste. So, that is the natural process of contamination, decontamination of the water body. So, what different are we doing? Our addition of wastewater into the water body is not a problem because water bodies know how to deal with it. But in our case, weeds will come, but they will never go. That is why we see hyacinth and algal bloom and azolla and hydrilla in almost all the surface water bodies that we have, especially in the urban areas. Now, if you actually look at it, why was the need for landlocked water bodies created? Nature always had, the planet always had 73% as water. So, what was the need for the landlocked water bodies to be created? It is only because life began in marine ecosystem. From marine, it started moving towards amphibia, from amphibia to terrestrial. Now, the terrestrial life had a completely different requirement. Marine life was absolutely fine with the salinity of water. The terrestrial life needed sweet water. To fulfill the needs of the terrestrial ecology, nature created water bodies. So, water bodies are conjunction point of soil, water, and air. And because of this conjunction point, there is a consistent exchange happening between soil and water, water and air. And this leads to the birth of ecosystem services from the water bodies to their respective vicinities. So we need to understand water bodies as ecosystem service providers instead of just pool or reservoir of water. And that is where we are going wrong into our basic definition of the water body. So if we want to manage our water resources well, if we want to create a water abundant country, we need to first understand water and then the water bodies, because these are the natural sources for the water availability. And without water, no cities can be designed. Nobody can live in a city without water. So, water is the key to habitation, whether it is urban habitation, whether it is rural habitation, whether it is any kind of economic activity, from semiconductors to farming. Every industry needs a lot of water. So without abundance of water, development is not possible. And that is why we need to understand our natural resources of water very well. Now let's come on to the conservation and efficiency and building that climate resilience. So water bodies, as I explained, are the water bodies, the infrastructure of water are all conjunction point of soil, water, and air, and there is a consistent exchange happening between them. The water molecule is bipolar. Top is negatively charged and bottom is positively charged, which is inside again a bipolar earth, which is again impacted by moon's gravity and sun's gravity. That is why in a full moon night we have high tides, because water is getting impacted by the moon's gravitational pull. So when a smaller magnet is inside a bigger magnet, it will rotate. When it rotates, it creates a mixer grinder effect. The soil beneath water will get grinded into nanoparticles, which we call as silt. Silt is nothing but nanoparticles of soil, which are about 32 times smaller than 1 grain of soil. So a lower density material is on a top of higher density material, so it will definitely percolate down. When it percolates down, above the silt is water, so water will follow. This creates a soil capillary link between the surface water body and the underground aquifer. Now, this means your water body will now be perennial, because whenever there is heavy downpour during monsoon, it will recharge the groundwater. It is a natural rainwater harvesting apparatus. And whenever there is heavy evaporation rate, water will be pulled up from the aquifer to the surface water body and the water volume will be remained. So, this is the kind of exchange which is happening between soil and water. Again, as I told you, water uh, molecule top is negatively charged. So in a water body, the entire top surface will be negatively charged. And what we call as particulate matter, they are freely floating solid particles in air which are largely positively charged. So they naturally get attracted to the top surface of the water body. They will get wet and sink in. So air pollution mitigation is done naturally if the water body is in a healthy condition. Now, within the water, there is a aquatic food chain. They are single-celled organisms which are autotrophic in nature. Plenty of them perform photosynthesis. So, when they are performing photosynthesis, they need photons, which comes from the sunlight, and they need carbon, which comes from the greenhouse gases sequestered by the water body. So, every water body becomes a carbon sink also naturally. So if the water body is in healthy condition, the legacy greenhouse gases in the atmosphere will be sequestered by the water body, and the, the concentration of GHG will reduce. The particulate matter will also reduce. And when the photosynthesis is happening within the water body, first it will raise the dissolved oxygen level. But when the production is beyond the holding capacity of water, it is emitted in the air. So that is why the air around a healthy water body is always more oxygenated, which attracts more birds. So if the water bodies are healthy, there will be flocks of birds around. When there are flocks of birds around, the bird dropping will create greenery, because the bird would have eaten a lot of seeds during the day. So when the bird droppings fall onto the soil, it will create green. So that is how life will exuberate around the water body, and that is how the environment, soil, water, and air, all of them remain in a healthy condition wherever the water body is healthy. So I've explained the exchange between the layers and the ecosystem services also. All the major problems that we have into the urban areas, whether it is flash floods, flash droughts, urban heat islands, erratic rainfall, groundwater depletion. Like Delhi, I guess every year the groundwater goes down by a few meters. So all those problems, these are not limited to Delhi or Mumbai or Bangalore or Chennai. These are problems with all urban areas across the globe. All those problems can be addressed if the water bodies are in healthy condition. So, the health of soil, water, and air can be managed by managing the water bodies, and that is what builds a resilience against climate change. There was, I'm sure everybody would be aware of Ramsar Convention. Under United Nations, there is an organization that only focuses on wetlands and water bodies, which is called Ramsar Convention. Last year, there was a wetland COP in Victoria Falls, Zimbabwe. I was there. And in July 2018, again, there was a Ramsar Convention in which 120 country representatives all agreed that if water bodies and wetlands are maintained in healthy condition, all 17 UN SDGs are met. So let's now focus on to the issues and the solution. The common problem that we have into the urban area is sewage production, because that is linked to the human population. The population rise will rise the sewage production also. There was a study done in the year 2019 in University of Tehran that wherever there is a water abundance per human being, the sewage production is 144 liters a day. So multiply that with the population and you get the sewage production. Then the water stress is rising because the groundwater table is going down, the consumption is increasing, and sewage production is increasing. The surface water bodies are contaminated. Then the rainfall is going erratic. Waterlogging and flooding, which I told you naturally should not occur wherever there is a water body. But next to the water body also there is flooding happening, which means I just explained the process of soil capillary creation. If those capillaries are choked and water cannot go downwards, so it will spill over. That's a natural reaction. Droughts and dry spells, urban heat islands, water and vector-borne diseases, I just explained. Every year post-monsoon, the water and vector-borne diseases go up. And of course, air pollution is also a city problem, also a urban problem. But if you actually look at it, I've just explained the natural process. Removing the human beings from the face of the planet, hypothetically, all these problems will occur and will be taken care by nature. So all water bodies remain an ecosystem service provider, and they are the solution to all the urban problems that we have. Instead of just cleaning the water bodies, we need to focus on healing the water bodies, because if water bodies are healthy, all these problems are taken care of naturally. Yes, we are creating problems because we are no more living a sustainable life. Our lifestyles has changed in last about 100 years. See, if you actually look at it, India is the oldest and continuous surviving civilization on this planet. We have the documentary and the archaeological evidence for at least 25,000 years of continuous living in the same land, which we call as the Indian Peninsula. But we never faced these kind of problems. Why? Because our lifestyle was very sustainable. We were living in absolute harmony with nature, which we are not now. In last 100 years, our lifestyles have changed drastically. Now, right from the time when you wake up in the morning, you are actually creating sewage. Whether you're brushing your teeth, whether you're taking a bath, whether you're washing your utensils or your dirty clothes, everywhere you're using phosphates. Everywhere you're using nitrates. And all that is going into the water, and ultimately water will land into a natural water body. So we are creating a lot of pollution just by our being. So, what do we do now? We cannot go back to 100 years old lifestyles, but at least we should respect the infrastructure that we have. At least we should respect the power of nature and align our living strategies or the development strategies in absolute harmony with nature. By the way, did you know that Delhi has got more than 1,000 water bodies, out of which 600 plus are in the first phase of priority for restoration? This I know because Delhi government had answered to one of the cases in Honorable NGT, that how many water bodies do you have and what is your plan to restore those water bodies, right? But how do we do the restoration? Our process of restoration is such that Government of India is pumping money like anything. There is Amrut 2.0, Atal Mission for Rejuvenation and Urban Transformation. There is Mission Amrit Sarovar, Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, Har Ghar Nal Jal Yojana. So everywhere you see water. And restoration of water body is a mandate from the central government. But how is the restoration happening? First, there will be a pump installed and the entire water will be pumped out. It will go down the drain. And then the JCB will come, it will deepen down the body left, because there is no water, so I don't call it a water body. So there is a body which was filled with water, which is now pumped out, and the entire sludge deposit in the bottom is exposed to sunlight and air, which means we have increased the greenhouse gas emission by 10 times. Now a JCB will come and it will clear the mug, and then again borewell water will be filled into the water body, and there'll be a pre and post photograph and saying that rejuvenation done, and people got the points. But in the quest of conservation, in the name of conservation, what are we doing? A 1 acre small water body with about 10 to 15 feet of depth will be housing about 1 crore liter of water. We first pump that out. Then, after dredging the bottom, we refilled 1 crore liter once again, taking out groundwater. And we know it for sure that next year the same activity will be repeated. So, in the name of conservation of water, we have wasted 2 crore liter of water just because we don't understand what our resources are. So, that's the end of the presentation. Thank you for your patient hearing. My name is Madhukar and my contact details are given here. If anybody has got any questions, I would love to answer. Nobody? No questions?
You're absolutely right when you said the way water bodies are being done. But what is the solution? That is very important for us to know.
Okay. So, as I told you, Vedic Srijan is a climate tech startup. We've been working into nature-based solution. As the name suggests, it is Vedic Srijan, born out of Ved. So we have conducted an extensive study. As I told you, India is the oldest and the most continuous surviving civilization. We must have cracked the code of sustainability. So that is what we studied, and we developed our solutions, which are in absolute harmony with nature. These are 100% nature-based solutions. We collect a lot of data from the site, which agroclimatic zone it is, what kind of inlets are coming in, what volume of inlet is coming in, is it domestic sewage, is it industrial effluent, because we take it that the biggest liability of the water bodies today are the inlets. So we need to study the inlet, we need to study what kind of aquatic biodiversity is left into the water body, what kind of vegetation is there on the embankment side. After this in-depth study, we prepare a medicine which is 100% botanical extract, liquid concentrate. It is shipped to the location, amalgamated with fresh water from the same agroclimatic zone, poured into the water body early morning at the time of sunrise. During the day when the sun is up, photons are available. This entire medicine is synthesized and the resurrection of the native ecology will start. So this is first phase of the treatment. The treatment is called cowonomics technology. Second phase is resurrection, wherein our focus shifts from the surface water to the bottom deposits of sludge. So the sludge is completely decomposed and the soil capillaries are reestablished so that your water body goes perennial. So phase 1 and phase 2 are basically uh, consumption and digestion of the legacy waste which is already there. Phase 3 is rejuvenation, wherein we calibrate the daily digestion capacity of the water body with the daily incoming load. So the treatment is done 100% in situ. Whatever is there is consumed and digested into the natural ecosystem for production of planktons. Planktons are the feed for the fishes. Fish excrete ammonia, and ammonia is decomposed by the activities of the single celled organism. So, the biggest, if you have a sick unit to revive, you have to focus on transforming the liabilities into asset. So, the biggest liability for the water bodies are the inlets. We transform those inlets into assets because they come with a lot of nutrient overload. The same nutrient can be utilized for production of planktons and the entire aquatic food chain is restored. So that is one of the technologies that we have. Then we have four other technologies because Vedic Oxygen is a technology company. We only focus on technology development. So wherever you have water bodies which are filled with water, this technology is absolutely fine. But there are water bodies which are water body only in paper because it is completely dried because the water has leaked into maintenance of the soil moisture. So to make those water bodies perennial, what we need to do is establish an equilibrium between the soil and the aqua ecology. Because wherever you see, you tell your height from the sea level. That means soil is essentially supposed to be above water, not below water. But into the water body, it is opposite. Soil is below and water is above. So there has to be an equilibrium established between the soil and the water ecology. So for that, we have developed another technology which we call as eco lining. Then we have eco dredging. Then we have eco drainar. All these four technologies are all about building climate resilience and restoring the health of soil, water, and air. The fifth one is called magic, medicine for agricultural growth and integrated crop conservation. This is on agri-tech side. The diversion happened only because 80% of the total usage of the country goes into agri sector. So if you don't correct the usage, water abundance can never be created. So this is a methodology of farming wherein you save more than 90% of the water used in irrigation. So that's the solution that we have developed, but there could be plenty of other solutions also.
Namaste, Madhukarji. So very well articulated about the concerns and issues of water bodies. As an academician, I have one main concern that what is the reason of erratic rainfall? We are getting so much water from above atmosphere and still we are facing water issues. So what is the reason?
Ma'am, we take rainfall as just an occurrence because monsoon season has come. But there is a lot of natural engineering happening. If you actually look at any of the deserts, you will find all of them to be on the northwest side. Every place, wherever you have a desert, in whichever country you have, it is, or whichever continent you have, it is there on northwest side. Why? Because desert, the entire sand will get heated up, air pockets will be created, and moist air will flow from the seaside toward this side. And that is how the cloud formation and the rainfall will happen. Fortunately for the desert, and unfortunately for the entire larger picture, if you actually look at it, we're trying to green the deserts. So it's not that we are intervening only into the urban areas or only into the rural areas by introducing chemical based farming. We are actually intervening everywhere. If you actually look at agriculture, today we start interfering with the plant growth right from the seed level. Any seed you have to plant, you have to first cure it. That's a normal general practice all across Bharat. If you are doing chemical based farming, you'll be putting them into carbendazim and therum. If you're doing organic farming, you'll be putting them into rhizobacter and estobacter. So ultimately, we are interfering with the natural ecology everywhere. Whether it is a desert, whether it is a mountain, whether it is a plain area. Now, all this has an impact onto the rainfall as well. That is why you see rains coming either too much or too less. The arid and the semi arid area for the entire Bharat is increasing. On the other side, wherever it is raining, it is too much in too short a time. It is only because we are disturbing the entire balance. You would be knowing that there are plenty of startups which have come up with this idea that to solve the water scarcity problem, we will extract water from air. What are we doing? We are interfering with the humidity in air. If the humidity goes down below certain levels, no terrestrial animal can breathe. So, we are interfering with the natural systems everywhere. And what we are getting in return is what we feel is a natural calamity. It's not. It is all man made. Why is flooding happening? Because the riverbeds are choked with sludge. And sludge come into the river because we are discharging our wastewater. I hope that answers your question. So, you have some questions, sir? You would, yeah. I'm sorry, there is a question, sir.
Uh, Hello. Yeah, let me first congratulate you. In a very short time, you've given a very technical and a very practical aspect about water. And when you talked about sustainability, the word that comes to my mind is permaculture. And in short, you've kindly, you've in some way explained the entire water permaculture to me in these last 30 minutes. I have two questions for you. One is whenever we talk about analyzing the water quality of a water body, we start looking at it from the angle of potable water. So have you formulated certain yardsticks? Because you see, the water body is as much for the animals and the birds and the bees as it is for us. And judging them by the standards of potable water is the last thing we should be doing. So have you or your organization formulated certain parameters against which we should be judging these water bodies? A.
Piyushji, I'm sorry. We are already 10 minutes ahead of our time. In fact, we can take these questions during the tea break
Alright,
because other next session
okay.
speakers are waiting. We are very sorry for that, for interrupting. We'll have the discussion
Sure.
during the tea break. Thank you so much.
So I'll discuss that with you offline, sir. Yes, there is a parameter, and we have worked on the parameter.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Mr. Piyush, for that question. And you can take it offline. You can get your answer. And I would request Mr. Madhukar to please stay with us on stage so we can present him with a token of our gratitude. I request Miss Veda to kindly join us on stage to present the memento of the DDA Green Expo. Thank you, sir, for sharing your expertise on the topic, from establishing equilibrium, various phases of rejuvenation of the water management systems, of the water bodies, and testing innovative technologies. It was a pleasure hearing you, and I would now like to invite everyone for a tea coffee break. We will take this break for 15 minutes, and around 12, I will see you back inside the hall. After this break, we will be seeing a fireside chat, and it's a very interesting panel which will be featuring well-recognized nature influencers like People Baba